You asked for it, you got it. Episode 2 of the Red Shed Ramblings, a podcast with no agenda, covers all topics. And this week I thought long and hard. I don't want to make it too much real estate, with that being my area of expertise. And I was thinking about a trend that's happening right now, especially in Florida, and I know the rest of the country. People are buying property, vacant lots, and they're building their own home. They're trying to get away from more of the cookie cutter subdivision type housing, living in a deep restricted neighborhood, and they're buying property and building their own house. And I had 3 or 4 buyers that I've dealt with, that I've helped get property, that are building houses, that I thought about interviewing, and then it dawned on me that I have my mother, Katie Donahue, who just went through it, who not only sold a house, bought a vacant lot, had a custom home built, and is now enjoying the fruits of her labor for doing those. So, welcome. This is my mother. Be nice.
Hello.
So, do me a favor. Take us through. I'm just going to ask a couple of questions, get you going here. When did you make the decision to start looking for vacant land to build your own home, or what made you come up with that idea?
Because all the houses in our neighborhood all looked alike. Everybody had the same house. We couldn't find one that we liked. So 4 years ago, we started looking. And we decided we're going to go with the land because the houses weren't what we wanted. So we said, we'll go with the land. We'll have some room for growth. So it took us 2 years to find the land.
2 years. Thought about it for 4 years. 4 years ago, come up with the idea. 2 years to find the land. What were you looking for in land? What was your motivating factor to decide which lot to buy?
We wanted level, acreage, something that we didn't have to do anything to, that was ready for us.
That's a unicorn. It's hard to find land that you don't have to do anything to, but I do know that they did find the perfect property. A little less than 2.5 acres, like 2 1/4, a little over 2 1/4 acres. That literally the grass was already on, cut, looked like $1 million. No trees to clear. It's like I say, it's a unicorn. So you found the property that fit your criteria. How did you go about buying it? Walk me through that. Did you just call somebody from a sign, or how did that work?
Well, we were looking at something else, and our realtor was in the area, so it just popped on the market. And she said, "You want to look?" We said, "Sure." So we looked, and the way things were going with it, we better take it. So we said, we're going to do it. That's it. That's all we did. We just said we're going to take it. So we made the offer, and it was accepted within a couple hours, and we're on our way.
Good. I wish that always happened, that they accepted all offers in a couple hours. So set the table for us. So you bought the land. Were you still living in a house?
Yes.
So you still were living in your existing house. You bought the land. What month was that?
That was in May.
In May. Okay. Now, how did you decide what kind of house you were going to build? How did that all come to be?
Well, we had a motorhome, and our idea was to put the motorhome there because we were in the county and there are mobile homes all around. We should have done homework. We did ask, and that the girl wasn't sure. She said she's pretty sure we could. So when we got ready to pour the pad, get the permit for that, they go, "Oh no, you can't have a motorhome on that property. It's not zoned for that." We go, "Oh, okay." So here we are with a motorhome that we want to bring out. Can't do that. So we back up and start over. And when we're walking the lands, I think maybe you or Ronnie or someone said a barnuminium. I've heard of those. We wanted to find out what that was. So it sounded perfect to me. All the toys would go in one area. So we were going to do that. And we were thinking, we called some places, and they were outrageous, and they tried to talk us out of it because we're in Florida for some reason. So we designed our own.
Good. So I'm going to back up a second. So you talked that you were going to put the motorhome on the vacant lot while you were building, and somebody said, "No, you can't do that."
Right.
One of the things I want to bring up at this point is when you're looking at property, you could have the best realtor in the world, but in Florida, we're transactional agents. And basically, we just assist you from point A to point B, and it is the buyer's responsibility to do their due diligence to make to verify all the funding. Is the lot buildable? Can you clear the lot? Are there any endangered species on there? Is it in a wetlands? There's a whole plethora of stuff that your agent can at least get you steered in the right direction. With the bulk of my dealings being in Polk County, I've got a personal relationship now with the planner on duty and the director over all the planning and development. Very easy to do. I tell everybody to go in person, to not just call on the phone or send an email. You'll get a lot more accomplished a lot quicker if you go see them in person, and they'll answer most of your questions. So, okay, so you talked about a barn dominium, and you met some resistance with some builders. I'm assuming you just went and talked to like custom builders. How did you end up finding a builder who would build what you wanted?
Well, he was working next door. He came over and asked what we had in mind. He said he'd like to have a new idea that was relatively new. We never heard of it. And he said if we bring the plans to him, he'd look at them. He's pretty sure he could work with us.
So, okay. What month is that?
Oh, let's see. That was like in November, December.
So we bought the property in May.
Mm-hmm.
We are all the way to December. You've done some legwork finding out what you can do. When did you sign the paperwork with the builder to get started on the house?
That was the end of December.
End of December. How does that work? Do you just say, hey, this is my house, and he says, okay, this will cost you however many hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you just pay for it all at once, or how do you do that?
We paid for it in four installments, I think.
4 installments. Some people will refer to that as a draw.
Draw. Okay.
You'll do like a 20 or 25% draw to get them started. They'll pull permits. They'll do the engineering design blueprints, and maybe make some basic orders. Maybe even pour the concrete. I don't know if that's the case. Okay, walk me through the rest of it.
Okay, we found a builder. We thought we liked him. Everything was going to work out there. He was all gun ho for that. Your father has this dream, and I have my dream.
I snorted.
My dream was the living quarters. So we came to an agreement. I can have the living quarters. That's all mine to do what design it, however. And he gets the garage and everything else outside. You know, just so I have my little porch or whatever. So we're drawing up the plans ourselves. We detailed what we each wanted and put it together. And that's what we presented to the builder. Well, you can't do that. That's a good idea. So you've got to have the plans drawn up. So we kept adding and changing. I was not going to give up my porch. My porch kept getting a little bigger because I had a stew. And I had to have a bigger porch. So with everything going on, we had, the builder said, I'll take care of it. So he took it to someone who drew it up. We looked at it, you helped make the changes. An architect. Yeah, the architect. And we made the changes with that, and then had it fixed again. Then we're all set. We totally agree.
Okay. So we're at the end of December. When was it when they first started doing something towards the construction of the house?
The permits were taking forever, and they had to get someone to do something a little extra to get the permits because the COVID hit. I think the COVID must have hit when we signed the papers because everything. So he was having a hard time lining up different things, but anyway, we got started.
When? What month? So we're talking to this builder end of December, getting blueprints and stuff. When did construction start?
I'm thinking
approximately.
It's approximately in March.
In March. So we're at the builder. They're at the builder. They've got blueprints in December. So it took almost 90 days for anything to happen physically on the build. So keep that in mind. And I will tell you, it's probably worse now than it was then, because at least here in Florida, because of the sheer volume of houses we're trying to build. Okay, so we start. What did they do first?
They prepared the footer.
They prepared the footer. Okay. Walk us through walk us through each step. Did he do a well or septic for you?
No, we did the septic because we thought we were going to put the motorhome there. So we did the septic and all that done, and we got the permits.
So the septic and well was not part of your normal house expense. You did that on your own.
We didn't do the well. We had city water.
Okay, city water, but the septic and sewer, which is real common here, especially as you get out of the city. They're not in the city. Okay, sorry. Press on.
And then they framed it up. And you have to get permits for everything. They have to inspect everything before they can do the next stage.
Framed it up. So yours is wood construction, or yours block?
Well, it's block, but they could do it.
Yeah. So it's block construction on the house.
Right.
Okay. And then when did they take more money? When did they get another draw?
When it was under roof, they took the first one.
So you paid a certain percentage to get it started. Once it got under roof, they took another draw, maybe another 25% or 30%, depending on what it is. And then what happened?
When everybody inspected everything, they started on the next thing. Next thing you know, we've got windows. We had to pick out all that stuff. We had the windows in. We had the doors coming, and everything was hard to get because of COVID.
So was your house all custom? You picked everything, or did they furnish? Did they pick stuff for you, like your countertops and windows and stuff?
I wish they'd picked everything. We had to pick everything. They had to make sure I had enough outlets. They were concerned because I asked that I have to have outlets because I changed things. So they had to change the plans a little bit there, put extra in, but I had to pick out everything.
Okay. So what was the time frame from construction start till construction was finished and you got your what do you call it, your certificate of occupancy that you could actually move into the house?
By the time the inspectors came, because we have county inspectors, state inspectors, everything, all that was done. I think the last of July, because physically, technically on paper, we moved in August the 1st.
So that's quick. I mean, it was slow to start, but if you didn't start construction till March and you got in the 1st of August, so March, April, May, June, July, August, that's 6 months.
And a lot of that is my fault.
Why is it your fault?
Because I wouldn't give certain things up.
Oh, you're saying that it's your fault that it took that long?
Well, the microwave was going to be on order for 6 months. I wasn't going to settle for this and that, different things. And they have to have the microwave. I mean, they have to have everything to hook it up.
Yeah.
To sign it off.
It's all part of the inspection.
Okay. So even though I went to the showroom, I said, I'll take this or that. They can't sell it to me. It's for show. I have to wait till it can come in. They can't give me a date. So that held things up a little bit. I did make some changes here and there. And somewhere along the way, remember, I didn't feel like I got my fair share, so I had this nice laundry room. And it gets hot out there, so I had to have air conditioning and everything. And then your father thought about having some more space overhead, so that took more time.
In a loft in the garage, big garage. So just to make you feel better, I have people now that have signed contracts with their builder in October of this past year, October of 21, that they haven't broke ground yet. And that more and more is the norm. Right now, you're 6 to 8 months out on truss packages just to get the trusses built. So it's hard to feel sorry. It would be hard for somebody who's going through it now to feel sorry for you as quick as you got yours done, because that's even cookie cutter houses in a subdivision, in a deed restricted subdivision, are taking longer than what your house did from start to finish. So with that being said, so you move in August 1st. Give me 3 things that are positives that you found out in your house that you didn't realize until after you got in, that you're glad that you did.
Well, I did go to half the house that I had, and it looked awfully small. But with the way we did it, there's room for everything, and I have room left over. I have more than a room, actually more than.
So you were surprised with the amount of room.
Right.
Give me another positive that you like about that after you moved in.
After I moved in.
It could be anything.
Well, I've got a wonderful view no matter where I look. And I've got green grass everywhere. I can put flowers anywhere that I want, and they grow. Oh, that was more than 3. I love it.
All right. Well, see, there's all these positives. Now I'm going to call you out. Give me 3 things you do not like about the situation or with your house or with your lot that you would have not done the same, or you would have done different, given the ability to go back and change it.
I would have stuck to my wraparound porch. I was going for the Key Westy look. I wanted that, but I gave that up a little bit.
the Key Westy Garage Mahal. It's kind of like a clash of two different styles. But all right, so you would have stepped with the wraparound porch. What else is a negative? And it doesn't have to be something awful, but what irritates you? Are you happy with the placement of the house on the property? Are you happy with where you bought the property? It could be anything.
We had to buy the property because we fell in love with it.
Okay.
No matter what the restrictions were, we had to have that property. That was it, because we looked so many places. That was it. I love it. I didn't like the way that the house was turned, because I didn't understand. I've been flying. I should have known that, but I didn't think about that. But now it's great.
So what she's talking about is it's on the property here for me, and it's personal preference. But I want my house facing the south, and I want the east-west sun to go side to side. You ever go to somebody's house and watch TV, and certain times of the day the sun's coming through the blinds and hitting on the TV screen? It has a lot to do with energy, the energy efficiency of the home being facing the south. And just to me, that's a more desirable positioning of the house versus having something that stares at the sun either at sunrise or sunset every day. That can be blinding for the TV, and it's coming in the windows. And you know those people because you see them in Home Depot buying the dark room darkening blinds and so forth. So it's you're faced the right way, in my opinion, but you can face it any way that you want. So we've moved in. We talked about the things you like, the things that you don't like. Now let's talk about the overall experience. So you had a house, you bought this property. What did you end up doing with your other house, and where did it fall in this time frame?
Before we decided on signing the papers on the build, we decided to put the house up on the market because we didn't think we'd sell it that fast. We thought, we got a lot of time to sell this house. What if our house doesn't sell? Because houses weren't selling that fast, So we thought we had plenty of time. Whoops. We listed the house. We made our plans and started thinking about it. We listed the house, and it sold practically as soon as it was listed. It moved. And
so how did you find, where did you get your realtor from?
my son.
So full disclosure, their realtor is my mentor and good friend, Elizabeth, with Live Florida Realty. She listed their house, and immediately she had, I don't quote me, I don't know if I'm exact, but I want to say she had like 10 or 11 offers right off the get-go. And you've got cash, you've got conventional, you've got all these different offers, and she guided them through that process, the expert that she is, and it was very smooth. And now all of a sudden, now they've got to be out of their house in 30 days, and their house is not built yet. So what did you do?
Well, we call our son to find us a place, and there is no such place. I couldn't believe
What kind of place? Like a place to put the motorhome?
Yeah, we thought of that, but they were not what we thought we'd live with. We were a little picky, but you had the perfect spots next to you. We were out of the way, weren't we?
Let me just say this: I love my parents, but when you're past 50 and your parents move in next door to you on your property in their motorhome, it's not the same as when you were 12 or 14. It's a little different, but it worked out good. It was good for you guys that you were close, because we live probably less than 10 minutes. I almost say 7 minutes away from your house now and where my house is. So you were close enough to where you could keep tabs on the construction. And for all transparency, they would drive from our house. They would get out of the motorhome, get in their car, and drive over to the property and spend most of the day over there watching why it was being built and stand on top of everything. So let me ask you this, and this is not off topic because we don't have a topic and we don't have an agenda. My big kick right now is building wealth. And that doesn't mean, everybody's rich, but the things you can do to build wealth. I don't want you to tell me what you sold your house for or how much you profited, but real quick, what percentage-wise, how much money did you sell your house for versus what you bought it for when you originally bought it? 2 times, 3 times, 4 times?
Almost 3.
So 3 times. So you invested, we're going to say $100,000 just for simple math. You bought a house for 100 and sold it for 300. So almost 300. So you 3 times your wealth. If there's nothing you listen to, nothing compares to real estate as far as a return on your money. I don't know. I'm not getting into your finances, but I'll talk about mine, what little bit there is. There's nothing I can do that I can triple my money. There's no money market account. There's no CD. There's no 401k. There's nothing that I'm going to triple my money in the amount of time I can with real estate. How long did you own that house?
24 and a half years.
So they owned the house 24 and a half years. And I challenge you to find me an account that you can put, that money in safely. You can borrow against it. You can live in it. You can utilize it, and then turn around and triple your money. It's my grandfather always said, buy dirt. I cringe when people are career renters, career tenants. Buy something. And even right now, with interest rates starting to go up a little bit, these rates are not high. We've had ridiculously low interest rates for so long. But in my lifetime, the average interest rate is 13.25%. So I don't get upset. I don't freak out that interest rates 5 and 6%. That's a low interest rate. It's just that we've had these crazy low rates the past few years, and people's got spoiled. My advice is buy the house or marry the house, date the rate. That's a Gary Oney saying there. Marry the house, date the rate, because you can buy the house, you can refinance if such a situation arises that you can find a lower interest rate. But there's no better investment, in my opinion, than real estate. Okay, so we've moved in. We talked about the things you liked about it, things you don't like. Give me your best advice on how you would do it different. I don't care what it is. We all would, when we have the ability to kick back and be armchair quarterbacks, we'd say, well, I could do that different next time. Even though what we did was successful, what would you change? What would you do different next time around?
That's a hard question. I love my house.
Mm-hmm.
I kicked and screamed, but I like my house.
So you had no issues, no anything that you went, well, that's crazy. I mean, God bless you if you did, because I can't even cook breakfast and eat without saying, I wish I'd have got this to eat instead. There's always something for me. So we've walked through the whole process of buying the house, selling the house, building the house, buying the property. What advice would you have for somebody that was getting ready to embark on this journey themselves?
Are they living in a house? They got to sell a house too?
Could be.
Well, I would look where I'm at. What do I like about where I'm at? What do I want? What would I change about where I'm at? And then I would think, what do I want to add to that? What do I need? What do I have to have? I had to flow through my kitchen. Remember, I'm small now. The house is small. But I have to be able to flow and move fast. I got that. I'm fine. And I really, less is more, as someone said.
Yeah.
I got rid of a lot of stuff, and I got more to get rid of. But the less I have, the better I like it. I can flow, and I'm not a slave to the house.
One of the things I think is an issue when people move from up north to Florida. You'll have people that'll have an 18 to 2,200 square foot ranch brick with a full basement underneath it. So, they're dealing with 3,500, 4,000 square foot of house with that finished basement. And they come to Florida and they want to buy the same size house. But what they don't realize is they're not going to use that house, because the fact that we have 300 sunny days a year and the weather is warm and you can go out year round, you're never home. So what I see is a lot of people will come to me and they'll buy a bigger house, and 6 months into it, it's like, what a waste of our money, because we're never going to use this house. So if there was any advice that I had to somebody that was building, that was coming to Florida to build, is think small. Less is more, because you don't have 4 months out of the year where you're deep in snow and you're buried in that basement with the pool table and the big screen and whatever you're doing in there. What else you got to add? Anything else before we start wrapping it up?
No, just go for it.
Okay. Here's my advice. And again, nothing beats you doing your own due diligence and research and everything. But one, always use a licensed realtor. Remember, as a person that's buying property, that realtor doesn't cost you a dime. That realtor is paid by the seller, and that dollar amount has already been decided with the listing agreement. So anything that you pay a realtor, the only time you pay a realtor is if you're listing a property and they're selling for you. So as a buyer, use them. They do this every day for a living, and they will protect you and look out for your best interest. But if you're looking at property, and while your realtor is a good source of information, it's up to you to do your due diligence. Find out what the zoning is, what it allows. Is it going to be suitable for the purpose that you want to do? Is there anything planned for next door? You buy a lot, you build your dream home, only to find out that the super Walmart starts construction 2 days after you move in. So zoning is important. What's the future plan? All this stuff is available at the county. You just don't email it, try to phone it in. Go see what's going on, and they will help you with all that stuff. Size, is it the right size? Is it a big enough lot for you? Is it too big? Are you starting to get along in years? You don't want to cut 2.5 acres, and you prefer to be on 3/4 of an acre where you can cut it with your rider. Those are things to remember. Privacy is, if you've moved out of a deed restricted cookie cutter neighborhood, can you put up a fence? Does the local ordinance allow you to put up an 8-foot privacy fence around it? Can you put a pool? All these questions you need to ask before you purchase the property. And then as far as the home builder and deciding to build, do your homework. Don't jump on the first one. It's just like looking at a car. Look at plenty. Don't just agree to the first one. Look at the Better Business Bureau. Look at their reviews. We're in a time today that didn't exist in the early 70s when you first built your first house. You didn't have the ability to Google and say, Joe's concrete work, what's the reviews, and get an instant answer. So do your homework, do your due diligence, and that way you make sure you get a quality, painless, smooth transaction in what you're doing. Last thing, utilities. A lot of people forget to look. They fall in love with a lot, but they don't know which electric company provides service to that lot. And it makes a difference. If you got Duke Energy, and I'm going to struggle with this name, with Lacucci Co-op, and you compare the bills for the same square footage, Duke's bill's way high, and with Lacucci is real low. Plus, as it's a co-op, you're an owner, and you get a check every December. I've got people that in the same size house as I am, and their electric bill is double what mine is. And you think that's not a big deal. Well, it's Florida, it's hot. You're going to run your AC a lot, and $300 electric bills are more the norm in the summer. If you got a pool, a hot tub, make that $400. But when I talked to them, their electric bill was $500, $600, $700 for the same house, but because they're on Duke versus co-op. So do your research on your utilities are available. And when I'm looking at lots, if I got 2 lots that I like and I can't make up my mind which one, and this one already has electrical and water on it, and this one don't, guess what one I'm going to pick, because there's extra expense that you're going to have power ran and water ran, city water meter, and so forth. These are things that are part of the homework. You can't just make a decision and do it, or you can, but it may not be the best decision for you. Again, I want to thank you for putting yourself out there and coming and sharing your guys' experience with us. And I think you got a beautiful house. I think you got it when the market was right. I know what that house would cost today versus what it cost then. So you've got instant equity in your house, which is great. If you could build a new house and move in and you've got $100,000 equity plus, when you walk in the door, you did it right, and you guys did do it right. Anything else you want to add before we get off here? Any advice for somebody that's getting ready to go through that?
Just go for it.
There you
If you're
go.
thinking about it, you know.
Life is short. Time's a wasted. You're going to go to bed and you're 17. You're going to wake up and you're 56. Trust me, I know. All right, that's going to wrap up this episode of Red Shed Ramblings. I appreciate your support. Please click on the subscribe button. We're trying to get those subscriptions up to 1,000. That doesn't cost you a dime. All that does is notify you when we've got new content that's uploaded, ready to go. And as always, thank you, and we'll see you next week.